So that is the Defense Minister, the Dr. Omane Boama there. Now, he spoke about a lot of issues, even including some debts that they have inherited, as a ministry, quoting some figures. They will bring you details later. But remember that all of this is also coming on the heels of Ghana's defense spending surging by over 60% when government is planning to recruit 12,000 personnel into the Ghana Armed Forces this year. Lead data and research analyst Isaac Kofi-Addo joins me in studio with some details. Kofi, let's start with the exact budgetary allocation for defense this year and the trend over the years.
So, Kojo, this year government is hoping to spend 6.4 billion Ghana cedis. That's about $640 million on defense. And if you compare this to what
$640
million on defense, that's about 6.4 billion Ghana cedis. Now, if you compare if you compare this to 2024, we are talking about an increase of 64.1%. In fact, the highest we've seen since 2013 was under the Akufo-Addo administration, who increased defense spending by 68.18%.
Okay.
But this time around, defense budget is expected to go up by 64.1%. And over the years, we have actually come from a defense budget which was around 1.3 billion post-COVID to 1.5 billion Ghana cedis during COVID to now about 6.4 billion Ghana cedis for 2025, with the hopes that some 12,000 new recruits will be given to the Ghana Armed Forces.
Well, quite a significant increase there. But do we know exactly how they intend to spend this money?
Well, in fact, 6.4 billion Ghana cedis is very big. But if you do the math, according to the data that we have cited, about 90% of that money is expected to be used as wages and salaries in the defense space. So about that 6.4 billion Ghana cedis that we are talking about, 90% of that is expected to be used as wages and salaries for 2024. In fact, if you look at the capex side of the whole 6.4 billion Ghana cedis, that is very less. And many are asking if we are really serious about defense spending. 6.4 billion Ghana cedis is big, but with about 90% going to wages and salaries, it leaves just a little for government to spend on things like capex. And in fact, one thing that we also saw that has gone down significantly is how much government is going to spend on resource or human capital development. Last year, the budget was around 76 million Ghana cedis. This year, we are talking about a budgetary allocation of just 15 million Ghana cedis. That budgetary allocation has been slashed by 80%. And so although you have 6.4 billion in the total expenditure on defense, when it comes to human capital development in the defense space, that budgetary allocation has been cut by some 80%, Kojo.
If that's a cut, it will be interesting for us to know what will be involved in this human capital development. Does it include new recruit or just existing army officers? When we speak to the defense
Absolutely.
ministry, but do we have any sense?
We do not have a sense, but we know that already they are hoping to spend 90% of the budgetary allocation on salaries. But this definitely will probably be on existing recruits.
Isaac Kofi-Addo is lead data analyst here at Joy News. This is the top story. So there you have it, the Army telling us exactly how much they will be spending this year and what they will be spending that on. You got that analysis from our research desk where they broke it down for you to see that out of the over 6 billion cedis, government intends to spend close to around 90% of that on salaries. So it leaves little room for human development. But they've indicated that they'll be spending around 15 million on human capacity development. So we'll be getting much more education on that shortly. And we've been joined on the line by Kofi Amankwa Menu. He is a former Deputy Defense Minister. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here. Now, the first question I want to explore with you is, why did we allow those, over 12,000 potential recruits, who had gone through the process, to sit down without going to the recruit training? Why?
Thank you very much. Thank you, and good evening to your listeners. I think that the figure that Minister mentioned was 2,872 as being recruits who have gone through the processes but did not start training.
Yes, forgive me, it is 2,872. Yes, you're right.
Money. And so when the processes were done, after they had gone through all the processes, we needed to get commencement certificates from the Ministry of Finance that we did not get. And then it was inching towards election. And so it was not advisable to as it were, allow them to go. Because if you don't have the money, then it becomes difficult. That is what really happened. And there is nothing really difficult about that.
But, according to him, the last one that the Army did was in October 2021. Between October 2021 and 2024 was quite a long time. But you say that this was inching closer to the election, and that's why you didn't let it go through. So
yes, this was the last one that we're going to do before the elections in 2024. Because if from the one you mentioned, 2021,
yeah,
a couple of them went through training and passed out. So we're doing that in phases, and we're going to do this, but never got the commencement from the Ministry of Finance. So between 2021 and 2024, we had a lot of recruits going through training.
So you weren't doing the recruitment on a yearly basis?
We have, because we had a backup, and we realized that some of them were actually within the age bracket. And so, yes, we had to go through the processes, and then when they do qualify, they go for the training.
Okay. So kindly give me an education here. The recruit, do they buy forms?
Actually, they do.
Okay. So
they do.
If we didn't have the clearance from the Ministry of Finance, why then did we open for people to buy forms in an effort to enter the military?
So what it is that every budget year, the ministry will have to send a budget to the Ministry of Finance. So the ministry is supposed to work within the budget spent or budget allocated to the ministry. But the problem with our country, if you take the budget, the entire request is not made available to you. So as and when the Ministry of Finance gets something in its PC, you are given something as part of your budget to work with. That is the problem we encountered.
Yeah, but I'm still struggling to understand why you didn't know the space, in terms of what the finances could allow you, but you went ahead to allow thousands of people to buy forms.
We knew what the finances would allow us. We had submitted our demands in terms of finances to the Ministry of Finance. And based on their promise to release, we went ahead and allowed them to go through the processes. But when it was about, it got to the crunch to release the money, that was where we hit the wall. And so it became difficult to allow them to go to training without the finances. But like I said, from 2021 to 2024, there had been series of training for the recruit. So that was the only one which the Ministry of Finance couldn't release the finances for.
Now, these people had bought forms, but they don't know their fate. Would it have been fair at the time you realized that you could not have allowed them to go on to have returned their monies back to them?
Well, it is something that the new minister can do. I won't have a problem at all with that if he deems that fit. We can do that. I don't have a problem at all.
But you had that problem. If you wanted to deal with it, you could have dealt with it. Why couldn't you have continued to do it?
If my brother, if the finances, they had released the finances to us in September or even in May and allowed these people to go, we were inching towards elections. And you know what that would have meant? Even people who had their employment way back in January were being dismissed left, right, and center. And we have a history of that. We did not want to go through that cycle again. We didn't want to do that.
Again, the minister reveals that there's some irregular thousands of rounds of military ammunition that were sent to the national security outfit in 2024 that cannot be accounted for. Why did that happen? What do you know about it?
That is why I have a problem, a bit of difficulty with the minister. My brother, we all know, if you know how the Ghana Armed Forces work, anytime they receive any ammunition, they have a meticulous way of keeping records. And so at each and every time, you know where something, has gone to. And so for me, this is not rocket science. We have people in charge of the armory. And if the person in charge of the armory releases a certain catch of ammunition to a particular place, the records are there. You keep the records. And so for me, it's just about going for the records and then just trace it where these ammunitions are.
But that's what the minister says they've done. They've gone through the records, but cannot trace where the records for these 1,000 ammunition are, and that's why he's complaining.
This is where I have the difficulty. He is the minister for defense, and so things like this, you don't come into the public domain and just put it out there to cause fear and panic. You have to use all the arsenals at your disposal to trace the things. It is not rocket science. But when you have a minister of defense in the public domain causing fear and panic, it becomes a problem. Because this thing was not kept by the Ministry of Defense. It was kept by the Ghana Armed Forces. These are men who have the expertise. These are men who we all know their professionalism. And so I don't think that they will go and hide this thing somewhere and that, no, they wouldn't do that. At least the Ghana Armed Forces will be left in the hands of the NDC. They will never do that.
Well, so are you denying that it could possibly have happened?
Well, I mean, there was something that was really going on. And so anytime the Ministry of National Security, anytime police and the Ministry of Interior needed any assistance and they deemed that they could, fall on the Ghana Armed Forces, they did. This has been going on for a very long time. And so, yes, every now and then you have Ministry of National Security falling on the Ghana Armed Forces for assistance. You have also the Ghana Police also falling on the Ghana Armed Forces for assistance. So this practice has been going on for a very long time.
Well, stay with me. Let me bring in Professor Kwesi Enin. He is a security consultant. Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, what does it mean to have thousands of ammunition unaccounted for us, as we are being told by the minister?
Well, first and foremost, let me respond to Mr. Henry's point that the minister is causing panic. I think for the sake of transparency and the oversight activities that the people of this country need to know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the minister in a series of lectures titled Transparency or something, expresses his concern for some unaccounted sort of ammunition. We also know, based on our studies, that the armories of the Ghana Armed Forces are the best in terms of stockpile management and all that. But we also do this based on the Mauritius Commission report that there are alternative security structures, closed armed, provided with logistics that do not conform to what we know. And we also know that several unaccounted for, and that irregular transfers do take place. So I think we need a process of engagement away from the public pay and to say, well, like this. Because the National Security Secretariat is not an operational arm of the National Security Secretariat. It should not be. But historically, the notion of national security as some above the law group of individuals who create this toxic culture of fear is part of our political history, and we cannot overlook that.
Okay. Professor, I beg, once we speak, if you could move away a bit from the radio, it would help. But as Mr. Amankwah says, must it be difficult for the Defense Ministry to track these 1,000 ammunitions they are speaking of?
It depends on the quality of the documentation. And as I've stated earlier on, if the diversion was quasi-officially sanctioned by some aspects of government, then there will be no documentation or no proper documentation. And then realize the minister concerned that we need to get to the bottom of this. And I know from our earlier studies and partnerships with small arms survey, that it's not always that ammo brought from peacekeeping accounted for. That diversions do take place. So as I'm saying, I think Mr. Menu sits on two very important committees of Parliament. So they can have a meeting with the minister in camera, and then the appropriate authorities within the Ghana Armed Forces, and then, of course, national security. And then to look at the documentation and to trace where these ammo are. Because we are in a dangerous environment in which we are not prepared to face both the internal and the external threat that this country faces. Our military expenditure is way below that of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So we cannot have, ammunition and probably military-grade weaponry in hands that we cannot account for.
Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining us with your thought on this.
Thank you.
Let me bring you back, Mr. Akufo-Addo here. So, Professor Kwesi is proposing that Parliament must intervene because you sit on important committees. Will Parliament take this up?
You see, I don't have a problem at all Parliament taking this up. In my submission, I said that we should never do politics with our security. The very moment we introduce politics into our security, we will get it all wrong. For me, one thing we need to do as a nation is to really hold the peace we have. And I believe that every well-meaning Ghanaian will be prepared to do that. And so, yes, I will do that 24/7, provided issues will not be politicized.
So that means that you will be willing to lead your committee to take this up, but your fear is that it shouldn't be politicized.
Precisely the point. Because if we introduce politics into this thing, I listened to what the minister said, and what he said was laced with politics. Most of the things he said, if we are to interrogate most of the things he said, we can easily situate the devil of politics in there, in what he said.
But you have the power to bring out the real fact when he faces you in Parliament.
You see, again, because of the oath I have sworn, so far as one of my committees is concerned, there are certain things I cannot say on this platform. But some of this, we've already had conversations around it. And so I find it a bit worrying when you put it out there, looking at the threat facing this nation. When you do that, you are putting the security of this country on the line. And I don't expect a minister for defense to be doing that. It's so wrong. He occupies a very sensitive ministry. And his ministry is not about running into the public domain when there are issues to be dealt with. He has to work more and talk less.
Well, I mean, thankfully, we've been joined by the Deputy Defense Minister, Broja Jemfi. But Mr. Jemfi, according to your colleague, former Deputy Minister, Kofi Addo, he says that the document you have should be able to tell you exactly what it is. What is it that you can't find that your minister says, I mean, this is an issue that the public must know about? Over 1,000 ammunitions that we can trace.
Thank you so much. And greetings to Honorable Amunkwam. If you can come again with your question, I don't really get it.
Well, I was trying to find out from you that if you listen to Mr. Amunkwam, he says documents are available to tell you where exactly these ammunitions are, or to let you understand what happened. So, what document don't you have that it's important we as Ghanaians need to know about these 1,000 ammunitions that you can trace?
Well, the minister did not say we cannot trace any ammunition. I think that what he said was very clear, that some irregular transfer of thousands of ammunition were transferred from the Ghana Armed Forces to the National Security Outfit. That is what it is. And I'm not sure.
So yes, in terms of the irregularity, what have you seen that you classify this as irregularity?
Well, like the minister said at the accountability series, this issue has been referred to the national security. If ammunition of that nature would be transferred from the Ghana Armed Forces to whatever the destination is, there are protocols and there are systems to go through. And so when the minister says irregular transfer, that is what it means, and that is what it is.
The former defense minister is worried that you are making this political.
Well, I don't think there's anything political about this. The minister did not accuse anybody. He did not mention anybody's name. In fact, there was no mention of any political appointee. Whether a political appointee was involved or not, nothing of that sort was mentioned. So I think that my brother, the former deputy minister, should cool down.
Grateful to you, Broja Jemfi, for speaking to us. He is Deputy Defense Minister. You earlier heard Kofi Addo, former Deputy Defense Minister, and Professor Kwesi Ening, a security consultant. That does it for the top story. Brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. Up next is Newsnight.
And we'll be taking you to Parliament, but also more from the Defense Minister's press conference today. We are in Parliament tonight, where government is seeking swift passage of the Mahama Cares bill and a certificate of urgency as majority MPs push to take the bill through a fast-tracked legislative process.
From the sponsors of the bill is that they wish this can be taken under a certificate of urgency.
We have the latest for you on that, but the minority side is urging caution.
Agents about some of these bills. So, Chief Whip, let us do a good work. The health minister wants good work to be done on the Ghana Medical Trust Fund so that the right things would be done.
Also tonight here on Newsnight, we are in the camp of Dr. Bawumia following the weekend's National Delegates Conference, the threat of Kennedy Ejipon to Dr. Bawumia's chances of winning the MPP flag bearership contest. We hear from former Majority Leader and central figure in the Bawumia camp, Osechi Mensah, as he questions Mr. Ejipon's grassroots credentials.
Action speaks louder than words. Don't be deceived by fancy talkers.
But you don't dispute that he has a very strong affinity with the base of the party, the grassroots.
Who is the... Look, if you're talking about a grassroots, I'm a grassroots man. In terms of grassroots connect, let's overhype our strength. Don't let anybody over-exaggerate his strength. I don't, listen to fancy talkers.
We'll also tell you his assessment of the Alexander Afenyo marking minority leadership in Parliament. Stay with us for that in business.
Economist Dr. Duo Sisako urges finance minister to stay on course and avoid major policy reviews as the finance minister gets ready to present the mid-year budget review this Thursday.
And in sports, Black Queens head coach unfazed by Morocco ahead of tomorrow's WAFCON semi-final clash.
And then later, the financial irregularities involving public boards and statutory institutions have ballooned by over 800%. With the latest Auditor General's report putting the 2024 figure at 18.4 billion Ghana cedis. We have details as the energy sector alone account for more than 86% of total irregularities. Plus, Yasantua Girls SHS promised to take national stage by storm after a dramatic comeback to end their brief absence from the national stage of the NSMQ.
It's going to be massive. Just look out for Yasantua, that's all. It's a contest, and by all means, we're going to have a winner and a learning school. But this year, we are not going to be the learning school. So
horses are prepared for battles, but victory comes from the Lord, and we want success.
You want to stay with us for that, plus your views and comments. 05511111997. Details after this.
Money day, big money day, where too much money day. Telecel too much money promo drop. If you dial *500#, then join them for the Telecel too much money promo inside. You feel win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points where if make you win. Make you dial *500# or go the Telecel Play up top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel too much money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA where they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
What's better than your bestie? A bestie who brings the hottest blockbusters to movie nights, keeps the kids smiling with the funniest cartoons, and never misses a goal. That's GoTV Stream. Your soapies sorted. Your football live. Plus cartoons, movies, and more. No extra costs. Just internet and an active GoTV subscription. Your shows, your vibes, your anytime, anywhere bestie. GoTV Stream. Download it today.
You're live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take you to Parliament right now, where the government is seeking to pass the Mahama Cares. That's the, as you know, the Mahama Cares bill and a certificate of urgency. The bill, which was presented to Parliament for its first reading, is now going through a fast-track legislative process. By invoking urgency, the government underscores the importance and immediacy it attaches to the provisions and objectives outlined in the bill. The fund, also known as the Mahama Cares, is an initiative aimed at providing financial assistance to individuals living with chronic diseases across the country. Majority Chief Whip Roxing Nelson Dafiamekpo explained that the government needed the bill passed expeditiously.
Indications from the sponsors of the bill is that which this can be taken under a certificate of agency. So I pray that that indication
But honorable leader,
Mr. Speaker.
The indication will be given to us by the committee.
Yes,
the
Mr.
committee,
Speaker.
when they report to us,
Yes.
then they will tell us that due to the exigency of the report, is praying that the House take that report on certificate of
Mr.
emergency.
Speaker, but the practice has been that that indication must come at this point, so that in making the referral, that added information can accompany it so.
Well, the minority side is urging caution. Listen to the Deputy Minority Whip, Habib Idrisu.
Taking bills through certificate of agency is one too many in these 9 parliaments. How many, even university bills, you are doing, considering it as certificate of agency? If you want us to do the work properly, you don't need to rush the bill. Why do you want to rush it? And also, Chief Whip, it is the committee that will take that decision. But if you, because of your numbers, you always say so that your committee will bring a recommendation of agency of the bill. But what is agents about some of these bills? So, Chief Whip, let us do a good work. The health minister wants good work to be done on the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, so that the right things would be done, so that we don't need to rush it, so that we don't need to start it and other interest parties will be saying that they were not consulted. That is why some of your bills are suffering. So,
well, as I speak right now, the MPs are locked on the floor of Parliament now, debating this particular bill, and the government wants this passed tonight at all costs. But the minority side, as you hear there, are objecting to it. I want to take it live to Parliament, where, again, on his feet, making an argument against the bill proceeding on the certificate of urgency, is Habib Idrisu.
So you cannot refer me to an order.
Leader, read the heading.
The order.
Leader, read the heading.
Mr. Speaker, he said report of committee.
Yes.
And it says that the 3 he quoted, a motion shall be moved. Mr. Speaker, what we seek to do here is to present the paper, not a motion yet, because the minority whip said, Mr. Speaker, if you check the other paper addendum, 1I is the report of the committee. That's the first item. So, Mr. Speaker, if it is 1, I and II are not motions. And so, for that matter,
but the heading is
to standing order
heading
125. It's not.
Leader, the heading is right. Report of a committee. So, yes.
Yeah, listen there to the debate on the floor of Parliament on the Mahama Cares bill, which is currently being pushed through Parliament under certificate of urgency. My parliamentary correspondent joins me on the line right now. Kweku, give me context here. The Speaker, at the point when the minority first raised issues about considering it under certificate of urgency, asked the Committee on Health to consider whether indeed it merits such treatment. What has happened since? We are listening there now to this live debate. Does it suggest that the committee in fact considered it and returned with a decision that they can proceed under certificate of urgency?
Well, yes, the Speaker of Parliament, the Second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Amopo-Esiama, who is presiding, asked the committee to do that job. The House was suspended for about 10 minutes for the committee to go and consider and bring back a report. In fact, it took about 25 minutes, and the committee then came back. The House actually also just resumed from that break about 5 minutes ago. And so what you heard and see on the floor was the attempt by the majority side to lay the report of the committee. Although the committee report has been signed by the committee and the clerk, the chairman of the committee is not on the floor. The ranking member, Dr. Nana Uefriye, who was also in this meeting, is also not on the floor. And so the plea by the majority leadership is that a member of the Health Committee, in the person of Honorable Ademu Ramadan, MP for Adentan, to lay the report of the committee recommending that Parliament takes this bill through a process of urgency and perhaps debate the merits or otherwise of that this very evening. And so they printed an order paper addendum which has listed the motion of the Committee on Health recommending to Parliament to consider this as a matter of urgency. We expect that barring any unforeseen challenges, that will go through, and then the committee will then present its report at the second reading of the bill. At the second reading, the principles of the bill will then be debated. What we don't expect to happen this very evening is the consideration of the clauses of the bill, because I've seen the order paper addendum which has been printed. They have not listed the various amendments, which will suggest that will perhaps be taken to tomorrow and that done on Tuesday. And so the minority's insistence is that if this bill is a matter of urgency for government, at least you should be able to get the committee chairman to be on the floor to move this report. And without him, they do not accept the idea that a member of the committee should present it. They are haggling over that before I stepped out, and the minority are continuing insistence that it appears the government side just want to reel everything through Parliament on a certificate of urgency. They do not believe that Mahama Care Fund is a matter of urgency, that if government truly wanted this done urgently, they could have brought it when Parliament resumed at the start of June and not bring it with barely 2 weeks for Parliament to go, for MPs to sit deep into the night to approve it.
But from everything else that we just had, the live conversation happened on the floor, it appears this is going ahead, and very likely by the close of Parliament tonight, the Mahama Cares bill would have been passed into law.
That is the expectation of the majority side of Parliament, but they would have a couple of hurdles to cross. First off, they have to list all the clauses in the bill and the amendments proposed in the order paper. The main order paper for today did not have that. They have printed an addendum which also does not have that. The addendum only have the reports of the Committee on Health, one on recommending the urgency of this. And right now, just a copy of the report, and this is the conclusion of the report signed for the chairman of the committee. It says, given the urgency of the situation and the potential impact of this bill, there is no better time than now to take decisive actions. The committee strongly believes that taking the Ghana Medical Trust Fund bill under a certificate of urgency is justified, and we urge prompt consideration and passage of this critical legislation. And if this hurdle is crossed, the majority side have an option to list all the amendments and the clauses of the bill in another order paper addendum, which will then come and then it will be taken through the night. Perhaps what I suspect the minority would do is to raise the matter of quorum. At the time I was stepping out, there were barely 50 members of Parliament on the floor. And so the minority believes that the majority side are not listening to them on their insistence that at least carry slowly, let's continue tomorrow. They perhaps will raise the matter of quorum and bring proceedings to a close.
Okay, thank you, Kweku. Let me bring in Patrick Yadom. He's a deputy ranking on the Health Committee in Parliament. Mr. Yadom, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. This, for the government, is a matter of priority, and hence they need this done tonight. From what we just heard from my correspondent there, the committee agrees that indeed it should proceed under a certificate of urgency. Are you in agreement with that, and will the government get your support tonight to pass this?
Thank you, my brother. Let me use this opportunity to greet your cherished listeners and to say that we are surprised at the turn of events. In the last budget statement, mention was made about a planned establishment of Ghana Medical Trust to supplement the National Health Insurance Scheme. Budget was read in March. We had April, May, June, July. Why do you rush such an important bill to Parliament and you want us to approve the bill, pass the bill today? My brother, do you know what? Friday after close of sitting, we were informed that the committee has programmed to meet on Sunday morning to consider the bill. Copies were not made available to us. We only had copies yesterday in the morning. And the minister insisted that we go through the bill because it's urgent. What is the urgency about this bill?
I mean, I'm reading what the Mahama Cares is for, and it's about non-communicable diseases, some of them critical ones that require urgent care. If you do not deal with this immediately, there are lives at stake. You know what the Mahama Cares is supposed to do? Provide state-funded assistance to those who are in need and cannot afford this critical care.
My brother, we don't know of any bill called Mahama Cares. I don't know if you want to refer
it's the Ghana Medical Trust Fund.
The proposed Ghana Medical Trust Fund.
That exactly is what the bill is.
But it's not Mahama Cares.
It's all part of it. I mean, the government itself crafted the policy. Has an official name, and then it has the name Mahama Cares. You know that.
Let me tell you something. In essence, it's just an expansion of the scope of benefit packages under the insurance. You remember during the former administration, I'm referring to Akufo-Addo's administration, some disease conditions were taken on board. If you remember, we expanded the insurance to include the treatment of sickle cell disease. We expanded the insurance to include all childhood cancers. And 2024, we expanded to include the cost of dialysis, the treatment of kidney failure patients. I mean, the cost of dialysis. This is essentially an extension of that. So, if you ask me, there's no need creating a different fund, appointing board of trustees, setting up another set of bureaucracy, people who will approve patients who will need that specialist care. It's needless.
No, but it is not just an extension. This is more fundamental in terms of the changes that this fund will bring about. It includes, for example, investing in health infrastructure, medical equipment, specialist training, and research to enhance access to quality health care. It goes beyond just providing state assistance for these chronic diseases, which is what you implemented.
My brother, NHI does all that already. So there's no need creating another bureaucratic system that will worsen rather than help alleviate the plight of patients. I'm telling you, if you ask me.
So the minority's qualm with this is that you're fundamentally opposed to the Ghana Medical Trust Fund as it's currently been envisioned.
Exactly so. And we oppose it on the basis that the fund is not looking for alternative sources of funding. The fund basically will hang on allocating 20% of total monies allocated to NHI, which is wrong. This will lead to crippling of the insurance, and Ghanaians will be worse off when it comes to medical care.
So definitely, this is not getting your support tonight.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much. And that there is Patrick Boakye-Yadom, is the deputy ranking on the health committee, and this is a major plank of the new government's agenda for reforming the health sector. This is the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, and it's a subject of debate on the floor of Parliament. My colleague, Kojo Asante, a Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, is still with me because I understand there's been a significant development on this particular debate, and that he's joining me right now with the latest. Kojo?
Yes, Evans, as we speak, the minority leader himself, he just literally ran into the Chamber of Parliament to add his voice to this, because he felt that this was an important matter, and he did not expect that the majority side will be seeking to use their number to railroad this through. Just before him, we had Kwame Nkrumah's stake, and he was raising procedural matters to the effect that even the committee report that is recommending that this matter be dealt with expeditiously has not been signed by the chairman, Dr. Marquette Nawani. If you look at the report, it has been signed for Dr. Marquette Nawani, and it's asking who did that, and has there been a proper consensus by the committee for this to happen? Alexander Martin is on the floor right now making a point that, in fact, when matters of this nature are brought to Parliament, there are always prior engagements with the minister who is sponsoring the bill or with the majority leader himself. And he has been with the majority leader all morning. In fact, this morning they were in the northern region for a conference. They both spoke and they've all returned to Accra. We have not been briefed on all these matters. And so he's a bit surprised Roxanne Nelson, the final report, the available leader, the majority chief whip, is putting such spirited argument on the floor, advancing a course that would distract the harmony that the House has been enjoying in a couple of settings now.
And thankfully, we can cross over now live to Parliament and listen to Alexander Fanyomaki.
Thank you. I followed the argument whilst in the office, and I felt I needed to come in to add my voice for us to find a way forward. So, Speaker, I'm not going to talk law. I'm not going to talk procedure. I'm going to talk practice. The fortunate thing both sides have as their equity is that both sides have once been in government before. The practice, as I know, is that ministers of state, and I say so with a lot of deference to you, my respected colleague Akando, ministers of state do prior engagement. There's a good reason why we have 5 leaders and we have committee leaders. Mr. Speaker, some of these urgent matters coming from cabinet, you do discussion. I have been with my colleague, the majority leader, all day today. No such communication regarding this government policy was discussed with me. No such discussion. Mr. Speaker, there is this mindset: we are majority, we will have our way. And when, don't worry, do your, of course, whether you are even up to 30 here. And it's like, oh, the minority, if you want to assert yourself, then they take you to social media that you're obstructing government business. Colleagues, that at the time, the 5 of us here took that responsibility. We knew that insults were part of it. I in particular. So it's not about who says what in social media against me. And as long as I know my conscience is clear, I leave this chamber, I will attend my evening mass, go and pray to my God, take my communion, and go and sleep. I don't care about somebody insulting me or somebody's propaganda. Let us serve our country. If you have an important policy like the healthcare, an honorable minister, with the greatest respect, you and I, we have our own esprit de corps. We have a relationship. None of you here is an enemy to us. Have we engaged for us to even appreciate? I won't mention that minister's name, but there's only one minister who, when even he has difficult situation, will come for discussion and let you know what it is. I just had a briefing from my colleague on this matter. Roxanne, with respect, our job is to help you function. Our job in minority. May you were telling people to be quiet. You were telling people to be quiet. You were telling people to be quiet, Roxanne. Eche, he who comes to equity must do equity. You must hear me. We are in this together. And the right thing must be done. Mr. Speaker, even as they are pushing, I heard the rules. I don't want to talk about the rules. You cannot place something on nothing, it will fall. The rule talks about laying. Any member can lay. But something must trigger. The document must be wholesome before it is laid. A document cannot appear with a signature. Which signature we don't know whose is it. Then you say that it's been signed by any member, so it's been signed for the chairman, so it has to be laid. I don't want to place too much emphasis on law, but today is not your last day of doing business, Chief Whip. Whatever discussion you claim to have had, I do not think that it was sufficient enough to carry the House on board. It is not sufficient enough to carry all of us on board. Besides, look at your numbers. You say you are coming to do something under certificate of urgency. On your own side. On your own side. And if you check in this chamber, do we even have the quorum to sit, let alone quorum to take decisions. So I would plead with you. It is your government policy. It is your government. You have your priorities. Nobody will stand in your way. But let us allow consensus for this. This is democracy. Nobody is stampeding you on this side of the house. In fact, our ranking, Dr. Ayu Efriye, is the most reasonable ranking you can have. Maybe at the risk of making a disclosure, when we get hard on him, he is the one who is able to tame the caucus and say, look, this is health matters. Let's do this way. Ask him. Maybe I must reveal this. Anytime we get...
And that there is a live debate on the floor of Parliament around the Mahama Cares bill, which is currently a subject of parliamentary consideration. The government wants this passed tonight under certificate of urgency. It's officially known as the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, which will provide state assistance, financial assistance to individuals living with chronic diseases across the country. The fund will also seek to cover the cost of care and medication for non-communicable diseases not currently included under the National Health Insurance Scheme, and it will be implemented to also include investments in health infrastructure, medical equipment, specialist training, and research to enhance access to quality health care. Earlier, you had the deputy ranking on the health committee in Parliament saying that the minority side, they are fundamentally opposed to the fund because they believe it is simply a duplication of what they started under the previous administration. We will bring you the very latest on this as and when Parliament is able to consider and take a decision on whether or not they will pass it tonight. I want to join us on our social media handles for ongoing coverage of what is happening on the floor of Parliament. Let's do some politics now. The threat of Kennedy Japan to Dr. Bawumia's chances of winning the MPP flag bearership contest. In an interview to be aired later tonight on PM Express, former majority leader and central figure in the Bawumia campus, Mensah, has been questioning Mr. Japan's grassroots credentials in the race to lead the party into the 2028 elections. Now, Mr. Japan is one of at least 5 stalwarts of the MPP who have so far declared their intention to contest for the flag bearership slot. I asked Mensah if Kennedy Japan is Bawumia's biggest threat.
Well, because Ken made his intention known ahead of time, ahead of all others. And he started working early, towards that end. For now, even if we are talking about today's situation, I would say that is above the others in the race, not including Dr. Bawumia, but those of them who have declared to come in. But there are others who may be, better sprinters than he is, and who may overtake him.
But this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So if it's a marathon, you say he is your biggest threat.
No, I'm not sure.
You're not sure Ken is your biggest
because
threat?
Even in a marathon, the last leg is a sprint.
But you must do well in the marathon first to be part of that final sprint.
That's what I'm telling you. Even in the marathon, the last leg is a sprint. So don't be...
But from your analysis, because he again declared his first, he actually was the closest to him in the last primary.
Well,
fair to conclude then that if you're really looking at the biggest threat, he will be.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. In 2008, Alan was the closest to Akufo-Addo. When he attempted again, what was his position? People should not over-exaggerate their strength.
But you've done an assessment already, the strength and weaknesses of those who have already declared.
Well, to a large measure.
And you're confident that your man still holds the upper hand?
By the grace of God.
In spite of Ken's very strong popularity among the base of the party,
I see. I see.
Of the party.
Well, you are saying so.
You disagree?
You are saying so.
I'm asking whether you disagree with what I just said.
Action speaks louder than words.
What are the actions? What actions?
You are old enough to remember the lyrics of Jimmy Cliff.
Yes.
Right? Action speaks louder than words. Don't be deceived by fancy talkers. Thank you.
Kennedy Japan is a fancy talker?
I've not said so. I'm just playing back the music of Jimmy Cliff to us.
But you don't.
When you go back to the studio, please play it for me.
I will. But you don't dispute that he has a very strong affinity with the base of the party, the grassroots.
Who is the... Look, if you're talking about a grassroots, I'm a grassroots man. I started with this party in 1992.
You may have started there, but you're an establishment. You represent the establishment.
And I represent the grassroots as well.
Yeah, but that's where you started. That's where you are.
If I were disconnected with my grassroots at Swami, I couldn't have, on 7 consecutive occasions, been their representative. I don't dispute the fact that he may also have his own connection with the grassroots. After all, he also contested 6 times his constituency, right? When he left, he surrendered the seat to the NDC.
But your comparison...
When I left, as I maintained the seat for the MPP.
Yes, but your...
So in terms of grassroots connect, let's overhype our strength. Don't let anybody over-exaggerate his strength. Action, as I've told you, speaks louder than words. I don't listen to fancy talkers. I'm not saying he's a fancy talker. I'm saying I don't listen to fancy talkers. Let's get down there.
Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for Kennedy Japan, joins us right now on the line. Mr. Kwarteng, I'm grateful that you could join us. Is Kennedy Japan possibly exaggerating his strengths in this race to lead the party into the 2028 elections?
Yeah, good evening, Evans. I'm struggling to find a better way of responding to this comment. Because my thinking is that ordinarily we expect senior party members to make unifying comments and not comments that in a way may stumble or will depict any form of divisiveness. Because I don't get the basis of this comment. I mean, this Ken was your colleague in Parliament. And can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yeah, he's been a friend. There are on many occasions where he had to travel from Central Region to Ashanti Region, the Swami constituency to be precise, and even campaign for the Honorable Mensah. So I'm surprised where and why these comments are coming in. But of course, let me add that Kennedy Japan's connection with the grassroots is not manufactured. It is earned, and it is deeply rooted in years of consistent support, personal sacrifice, and a strong advocacy for the ordinary party member. It even goes beyond party members. If you look at his philanthropic job to the entire Ghanaian community. And so I don't think is a question for debate. It is left for the Honorable Mensah to have his own view about Kennedy Japan, whether or not he's indeed a grassroots man. At the end of the day, 31st is just at the corner, and I'm sure the grassroots will speak. For us, for now, let me say that we are so focused and connecting and keeping in touch with the same grassroots and hoping that they buy our message. That is, for us, the most important thing. And of course, we are also focused in making comments that will unify the party, that will strengthen the party, and that will make everybody feel involved without comments that suggest some form of divisiveness. It will not be good for us in 2028. And so we will prefer not to go so much into it. But I must add that I'm a bit taken up. I'm surprised because, for the Honorable Chambers about it, his status, not only in the party, but in the whole Ghanaian politics, nobody expected that comments like that will come, that Kennedy Japan's connection with the grassroots is overhyped. I'm still struggling to get the basis. And, politics should not divide us. The fact that today you are supporting a different hopeful or an aspirant does not necessarily mean that you forget of all the good moments that you enjoyed with your friends and colleagues in Parliament for over 6 terms, which is the cumulative effect will be about 24 years. But
one of his fundamental arguments is that he, Oseche Mensah, also left his seat. But he says he left his seat, and when the polls were done, he made sure that the MPP still won it. And that in the Kennedy Pon's case, if he claims he's a grassroots person, he left his seat, and when the polls were done, the NDC had captured it. And that shows that he's not as grounded in the grassroots, at least in his own base in his constituency, as people make it out to be.
I'm going to respond to that. But Evans, out of 15 regions, if you compare our vote in 2020 to that of 2024, it is only in Northeast region where we appreciated marginally in votes. Talking about the presidential election, we declined in all 15 regions. Doesn't mean that the candidate is supporting is also not a grassroots person, because he lost votes in all regions. But come to think of it, and of course the reference that he's making, you see, we must understand that there comes a time where people or individuals' popularity can sometimes even outweigh that of the political party, to the extent that people's allegiance will be to the individual and not necessarily the political party. And that is what played out in the Assin Central contest, where the seat, which was traditionally an NDC seat, for the first time contested and won by Kennedy Japan with his popularity and influence. But after 6 decades, after 6 terms, when he was no longer there, the people felt that, the allegiance is not necessarily for the party. That should, in itself, tells you that Kennedy Japan's popularity and his connection with the grassroots was rather predominant and profound. It is even the more reason why when he always contested, he won. But when he left, the party couldn't even retain the seat. So the reverse of the argument that he's making is rather true.
Kwesi Kwatu, thank you very much. He speaks for Kennedy Ejapon. So live, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. And George Affe is here with business. And George, you're looking forward to the mid-year budget review statement.
You're right. This Thursday, the Finance Minister, Dr. Akufo-Addo, should lay the document before Parliament, and there are some who are asking him to stay on course and avoid any major policy reviews when it goes before Parliament this Thursday. Well, in the stories, government is also being asked to tread cautiously over moves to consolidate all accounts of ministries, departments, and agencies into one entity at the Bank of Ghana by the first quarter of next year. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Sintex Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Mensah insurance claim no.
It has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
Mensah can no. We are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying reset to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Munsaka.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush the clean and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
This
advert is FDA approved.
Sasso, sasso, come tonton preco. Sasso, sasso, come tonton preco. Edrana dwami ne buseshe. Yeah, how can see our name and baby? Minya me phone me sasso spray. Every mosquito starting run away. Come tonton preco. Sasso, sasso, mi se come tonton preco. Come tonton preco. Sasso, come tonton preco. Nani sham ne die, demonstronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Ama, big news! Star Oil is now the largest oil marketing company in Ghana.
Wow, that's huge!
Yes, so the largest distributor of petroleum products in Ghana. Ever since I switched to Star Oil, my car runs smoother. The fuel lasts longer, no strange engine sound, just clean, powerful performance.
Oh, same here. I used to refill every 3 days until I switched to Star Oil. Now, my fuel lasts way longer. I don't know what magic is inside, but my car loves it.
Exactly. It's not magical. From Accra to Kumasi to Tamale, Star Oil day everywhere with 240 filling stations and counting. That's why more Ghanaians are choosing Star Oil.
Hey, my tank is almost empty. I am heading to Star Oil right now before the queue starts.
I'm right behind you, Amma.
We set out with a mission to serve better and lead boldly. We're proud to say we are Ghana's #1 oil marketing company. To our loyal Star savers across the country, thank you for believing in us. Star Oil, quality and affordable fuels for all.
Now, sorry, I take the news again. There was a little challenge there. Now, economist Dr. Edu Sakodi is urging the Finance Minister, Dr. Tuforson, to stay on course and avoid any major policy review. The advice is coming ahead of the Finance Minister's media budget presentation to Parliament this Thursday. Dr. Sakodi is urging the Minister to also tread cautiously if he decides to go the supplementary budget way.
Only if they want to pursue or they want to start implementing the 24-hour economic policy, then that may call for supplementary estimates, because we heard from Honorable Visitor that we need about $4 billion, about 41 billion Ghana cedis to start the implementation. The reason I'm saying is that 41 billion Ghana cedis was not budgeted when they were reading the main budget, because in fact, if you read the main budget, 24-hour economy was just mentioned by passing. It was just a sentence that the government will implement export-led industrial growth. So if indeed we are halfway through the year, if they want to implement it, then that 41 billion, they'll have to request for it.
And that is economist Dr. Edu Owusu Sarkodie. Still on the media budget review, the Ghana Union of Trade Association is urging the Finance Minister to take a second look at some taxes being paid by businesses. Clement Boateng is the Vice President of the Ghana Union of Trade Association.
In the run-up to the election, our President promised of a flat rate regime for duties. And we still want to remind him that we were expecting it in their maiden budget, but no mention was made, and therefore it is our expectation that this media budget, they will do on. And our final talk will have to be on the VAT regime.
Clement Boateng is the vice president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Now, Economic Professor Peter Cote is urging government to tread cautiously with a move to consolidate all accounts of ministries, departments and agencies into one entity. Government in the letter to an IMF has communicated its decision to implement this program of having one account for all government institutions at the Bank of Ghana by the end of March next year.
If you have accounts scattered all over one institution with many accounts, they are paying bank charges, and sometimes government is unable to regulate or account for all the revenue, IGF, etc. That should be fine. Except that we have to be cautious. The over-centralization is a problem. If you centralize everything and we now have to assess all these MMDs have to access money from one account, one institution, it becomes a challenge. So, in as much as we want to ensure efficiency, we want to reduce costs, we want to ensure that we're able to monitor what goes on, we want to tread cautiously.
And that is economist Professor Peter Cote. Now, Defense Minister Dr. Mane Boama has revealed that the military, through its industries holding company, will play a major role in government's 24-hour economy program, as well as infrastructure development of the economy. The minister said this when he took his turn at the Government Accountability Series, the Flagstaff House, today.
In a 180-kilometer road works on the main Awaso-Takrade corridor, which serves as the primary road for transporting Ghana's bauxite to the Takrade port, a port protected by the Ghana Armed Forces. The 180-kilometer stretch is deteriorating due to bauxite haulage.
And that is the Defense Minister, Dr. Omane Boama. Now, GT Bank says it is committed to playing a critical role in the economy as well as supporting other social intervention programs. The divisional head for corporate communication experience, Agnes Uswafram, says that this is part of their measure to support the economy.
The impact has been profound. On the side of teachers, you observe that teachers now have a better view of how to work with children that are not necessarily conforming to the rules of the class or to the standard rules that we have in a certain space. To parents and guardians, caregivers, grandparents, we also have house helps. You observe that unlike before that you rather spank a child, you rather want to treat a child with a certain attitude, you now understand when the child is behaving this way, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? Understand what the child likes, what they don't like. Finally, some have had to be make changes to the schools the children attend.
And that is the divisional head for corporate communications and experience, Agnes Uswafram, speaking to Joy Business at the bank's annual autism awareness workshop in Accra. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Joel, thank you very much. We can do sports now. Hello, Grante.
Hi, Evans. Let's go straight into the stories. And Ghana's Black Queens, their head coach Kim Las-Bjorkgren says he's well acquainted with the Moroccan women's national team ahead of their semi-final clash at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The Queens will face the host nation tomorrow after they advance to the last four following a dramatic 4-2 penalty shootout win over Algeria on Saturday. This will be the first time the Black Queens will be in a semi-final since 2016. Moving on, Liverpool have agreed an initial £69 million fee to sign Eintracht Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike. The 23-year-old Frenchman is expected to arrive in the UK tomorrow before having a medical. Frankfurt accepted a deal worth £79 million with £69 million guaranteed and £10 million in add-ons. Ekitike is expected to sign a 6-year contract and will fly out to join his Liverpool teammates next week in their Asian tour. Now, August 9 will at the University of Ghana Stadium, the Joy Sports Invitational will return. Emigo Ghana, the producers of Yomi Yogurt, they missed out on the football competition last year, losing on penalties in the final, but they've vowed to bounce back in this year's competition. This year's edition is proudly sponsored by Royal Sweet Limited, Akono Ginger, Ifriwara Ayuda, Ghana's leading services app Bako Services Bibri, the game energy drink, feel the energy. Emigo Ghana, producers of Yomi Yogurt and the luckiest star 712 hash luck is everywhere. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Krante. Now, financial irregularities within Ghana's public boards and statutory institutions have surged dramatically in 2024, reaching 18.4 billion cedis, more than double
the previous year's figure, with the energy sector accounting for over 86% of the total. Now, that was contained in the latest Auditor General's report covering the period ending 31st December 2024. Joy News Research has been analyzing the findings, and lead data and research analyst Kofi-Addo joins us with insights. First, give us a breakdown of the 18.4 billion irregularities.
So, Evans, 12.5 billion of that comes from outstanding debtors, loans, and recoverables, with $4.6 billion also coming from cash irregularities, and then procurement irregularities, 335 million Ghana cedis, and then tax irregularities around 77 million Ghana cedis, with contract irregularities hovering around 871 million Ghana cedis. Evans.
What about the sector breakdown?
So it's interesting that the Energy Ministry, or institutions and board under the Energy Ministry, are accounting for nearly 90% of these irregularities we are seeing, with the total figure above 15 billion Ghana cedis as of 2024.
The AG also gave a 5-year analysis of the irregularities. How much are we talking about?
Interesting. The cumulative figure within this period is around 72 billion Ghana cedis.
72 billion Ghana cedis of irregularities.
That's about $7.2 billion if you use the current rate.
Let me bring in right now Michael Boyd. He's a fundraising manager at Transparency International Ghana. Michael, 70 plus billion Ghana cedis in 5 years down to irregularities. I know you've been running a lot of campaigns as far as dealing with corruption and irregularities in the public sector. What really must we do to arrest this rot?
Well, good evening, Ilan, and good evening to your listeners. I think that there are so many things that we need to do. As a country, I think that we are pretending to be fighting corruption and dancing around the issue. One, we politicize corruption, and then two, we don't empower the law enforcement agencies to act decisively. And so every now and then people get away with corruption and people get away with infractions. When was the last time, for instance, that the Auditor General exercised his power of surcharge and disallowance? When was the last time? Perhaps, let me ask, after Daniel Domelevo left, have we been hearing or knowing about the exercise of his allowance and surcharge? I'm not too sure.
And very briefly, though, on the latest revelations, what specifically do you want the Auditor General and Parliament's Public Accounts Committee to do?
Well, I think it's important we analyze it within context and within a time frame. How is it that every election year, infractions skyrocket on terms? Practically every election year. If you look at the figure in 2020, it was about 12 billion. Then it dropped, and then 2024 it had gone to 18 billion, 18.4 billion. What it tells us is that during election years, it looks like practically all our internal control mechanisms are let loose, are relaxed.
Yeah, Michael, in the interest of time, what do you want the Auditor General to do now with his findings?
Well, I think that let us separate what is criminality from what are, we call all of them infractions. So it is easy for people to get to lose the gravity of the issue. Let us look for where there are pure criminality or corruption, and then investigate, prosecute, and punish perpetrators.
Thank you very much. Fundraising manager at Transparency International Ghana. And it was tears and joy at the end of a nerve-wracking contest as Yas Antoa Girls SHS pulled off a dramatic final round comeback to beat Jabin SHS in the Ashanti Regional Qualifiers of the 2025 NSMQ. That emotional victory and their brief absence on the national stage after missing out on the 2024 and marks a strong return for one of Ashanti Region's most celebrated all-girls schools.
We are coming prepared. That's what I can say. And my girls are so good. This year is different. You kept on, when you were asking them, you kept on saying last year, last 2 years. That's why it's the past. Let's focus on the present. And it's going to be massive. Just look out for your answer, that's all.
But history, you can never leave out history.
We can't leave out history, but we don't repeat history this year. And we are not repeating it. So just look out for us, that's all.
What words do you have for the other people, the other schools watching you people?
It's a contest, and by all means, we're going to have a winner and a learning school. But this year, we are not going to be the learning school, so they should just watch out.
I think the three of us really helped us because we had clean sheets in it. And I know my girls are very good at the videos and all the points.
And congratulations to Asantua Girls SA Chairs. And that contest continues. Check out the details on our many social media platforms. Enjoy the rest of your evening.